Okay, so we are actually very, very close to being done with the current lesson. We're going to start probability next week, I believe on Tuesday, the day we get back. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys an exit ticket, kind of as a review to get you ready for the test next week. As far as the quiz yesterday, a lot of people did really well. Class average was 74.9. So, yes, made me happy. It was one of the few passing averages yesterday. Unfortunately, my pre-cal IS classes had a little bit of trouble with their quiz, but that's okay. We can work on it. But I'll be passing those back after we finish up. I'm going to go ahead and get you your homework assignment today. I'll let you have the rest of the period to work on it. It'll be due on Tuesday. And I think that's all I have unless anybody has any questions. Hey, Hillary. Oh, yes, I'm glad. That's why I wrote that on the board. If you didn't know, during 8th period today, there's going to be a fire drill. So 5 minutes before the end of school, about 3:50, the alarm will go off. So you'll take all your materials with you and, just keep going. Okay. And actually, since you brought my attention to it, one of my previous students asked if I could bring this up. There's going to be a school supply drive coming up this Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. in the main gym.
I'm actually a part of that.
Oh, okay. Did you want to talk about it real fast?
Yeah, that's fine. So me and Megan Acevedo, we're going to have a school supply drive at her senior night game this week Tuesday. So if y'all want to bring school supplies, we're going to be having a box, a little ticket deal. So if you turn in more school supplies in, so like notebooks, pencils, pens, anything like that, just you can get extra credit in whatever classes that they offer that. It's for a good cause. It's for this group called Tomorrow's Leaders that Megan does, that she's a mentor for. It gets a group of kids, and they just like help them and do these little activities here and there. Like they went to Washington D.C. and New York City for about a week or so. And so it'd just be really nice. It's for cast of this, so y'all will eventually have to do something similar eventually. So that's for a good cause. If y'all want to stay for the game, that's it. For the senior night.
There you go. And it also says one donation or each donation equals one free bag of popcorn. So there you go, and popcorn. So you help somebody out, you do something good, get some popcorn, nice little snack. There you go. Okay. All right. So this lesson was over implication and equivalence. Did we want to go ahead and talk about the behavior in the truth table, or do we feel confident? So nobody wants to review that?
Oh, I thought that last example 16 was a review problem.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, what?
The last problem on the notes.
Oh, yeah, we still have one problem to go. Yeah. Okay. So you want to use that one? Okay. Now, another part of this was the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. So if our implication is if P, then Q, okay, Sierra, what is the converse? What does that do? Okay, it reverses it. So if Q, then P. All right, very good. Michelle, what would the inverse of if P, then Q be? Oh, no, that's the converse. There's something we want to do. We're going to keep them where they are, but we're going to do something to each one of those. I don't know if that hand gesture helps you anyway, so no, probably not. Can you phone a friend? Who's the friend? Okay, it negates it. There we go. So we have if P, then Q. So the inverse would be if not P, then not Q. And we have one more, the contrapositive. Graceland, what does that do? Okay, all right. Okay, you flip and negate them. So if we have if P, then Q, then it becomes if not Q, then not P. Okay, there we go. And let's see here. And that was exactly what we just talked about. We started getting into equivalence. We did that. We talked about fuzzy wuzzy. Okay, here we go. Okay, express the following argument symbolically. Use truth tables to determine whether or not the argument is valid. So compare it to, what we did a moment ago here, or well, I should say yesterday. But here's the statement, and they're showing you one step at a time exactly how they're doing it. You've got the implication with the antecedent and the consequent, but this is true if this second statement is true. So this and this, they both have to be true in order to imply that Fuzzy is a mammal. Okay, so you'll notice what they did. They used the intersection. What's another word for that? Was it conjunction or disjunction? Conjunction. Okay. So P implies Q and P. If Fuzzy is a bear, then Fuzzy is a mammal, and we know Fuzzy is a bear, this implies Q, Fuzzy is a mammal. Okay. So take, let's say, 30 seconds, according to this, and see if you can write down symbolically what the expression is. If Julia is sick, she will not go to work. Julia is not sick, therefore Julia will go to work. If Julia is sick, she will not go to work. Julia is not sick, therefore Julia will go to work. Excuse me. Okay, who's someone who I don't believe has ever been up to the board? Is there anybody in here who has never been up to work a problem? Marissa, have you been up? No? But look how happy you already are. Now I do know that John's actually been up quite a few times because when we do the little train, like Samir likes to be John, then John's got to go up. So true. Okay. Man, would you like to come up? You already had a big smile on your face, so it'll get bigger. Yeah, all you're going to do is just the symbolic argument. We'll worry about the table later. Okay. All right, good. We can go and help her out if she needs it. Okay. That's okay. All right, so let's walk her through. First thing we need, if Julia is sick, then she will not go to work. Okay, so Julia is sick, Julia will go to work. That's my antecedent and my consequent. So what's going to be the first part? Okay, so we're going to start with P because that's the variable that represents that proposition, or in this case, the antecedent. So if Julia is sick, then she will not go to work. Those if-then statements, what do we call that? Remember, that was the I word? Anybody want to help her out? It's not equivalence, it's implication. There we go. Okay. And how do we show that notation? Okay, the little arrow. There we go. Okay. Now, my antecedent and my consequent, Julia is sick, Julia will go to work. We're wanting to show if Julia is sick, then she will not go to work.
So would it be the negation?
Okay, very good. Yes. Okay. And we go ahead and put that little notch on the negative right there. So it kind of looks like a sideways L. Okay, that'll work. Okay. All right. Now think about how we did it a moment ago with Fuzzy Wuzzy, or like I said yesterday. So we had our if-then implication, then we had a statement. So there was something we used to join those.
Wait, I did that thing wrong. I don't put it backwards.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, so we have this implication, but now we need something else to be true. You might want to help her out. Okay, what? Well, we've got the if then. See, we have the implication. So we've got the first part of this, but now we want Julia is not sick. So let's start there. How would I show that? So the negation of what? P or Q. Okay.
So putting
Okay, so we're going to negate P. Now, how would we know we're going to go ahead and put that. So we're going to put the negation of P right here, but what am I going to use to combine this quantity, the implication, and the negation of P? What am I going to put right here? Okay.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Is that an intersection or a union? Intersection. Okay, so and.
The negation of P.
Yes, because Julia is not sick. So we have this implication and this statement. Okay. Now, this expression this far is going to imply, therefore. So now around the whole thing, what can I put? So brackets. There we go.
Around the whole thing.
Yes. Why don't you put the Q on there too? What do you mean?
Like the negation of not P, therefore, or if not P, then Q. Why would
I guess I'm not understanding the question.
so P it, or it if P then not Q
Yes.
intersect with not P. But why wouldn't we go if not P then Q?
Oh, no, no. We're just saying an implication. Like here, we have a reasonable argument. If Julia is sick, then she won't go to work. Okay, so we have that implication. Remember, it doesn't mean suggest. There's no causation there. So that's reasonable to believe. And now we have this statement that's going to help us. We know that Julia is not sick. So what does that say about the previous one? Like, should she go to work? She should go to work, right?
Oh, okay, because it's implied.
Yes, yes. Okay. And then now all we got to do now is the therefore Julia will go to work.
Oh, so the Q, right?
Okay, so yeah, Q, Julia will go to work. And how would I connect that to the expression you just wrote out?
Oh, the arrow, little arrow, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's my implication arrow. I would probably just go ahead and do one more thing. I know that you went ahead, you got parentheses around the smaller quantity, but if we're going to go ahead and use parentheses after the not P, let's go ahead and put another one before the original P. Does that make sense?
Yes. Right here.
Yeah, so we have a quantity and a quantity. There we go. Okay. Hey.
Separate sentences rather than
Yeah. And that's why, remember, we've talked about these being progressive. We need to start with the individuals, P and Q. Then we have their negation. Then we have the first quantity. The P implies not Q. Then we have the next largest expression. And then right here, okay, that's absolutely good. Thank you so much. In this last one that's blank, that's where this whole expression is going to go. Okay.
So wouldn't that just always be what's already on the table? Like right here, wouldn't you just like put those together?
Yes. Like in this case, yes. But I might give you one at some point where the top row is not filled in. I don't believe they're going to do that on an exam, though. They pretty much will have that filled in, and then you'll just have to take care of the table. And then they'll probably ask you some question about validity. Remember what we've been talking about? If it's all truths, then it's a tautology. If it's all false, then it's a contradiction. Okay, yes, Michelle.
Can we not just say not P then Q, or does it have to be the whole sentence? Like
Not P, then Q.
Q, like she's not sick, so she will go to work. Or
Well, I mean, think about it in terms, the table, we have one of these columns for each of these little expressions. So it's like the logic itself is kind of progressive as well. Because, see, we have this idea, if Julia is sick, then she will not go to work, okay, which seems reasonable. And now we know Julia is not sick. So what should that tell us based on that prior implication? Okay, so if Julia is sick, she's not going to go to work, but now we know for a fact Julia is not sick. Then she should go to work.
So we have to write the whole thing.
Yes. Okay, so let me go ahead and rewrite this, but I'm going to go ahead and put brackets in here. So we have, it was P implies not Q, okay, and not P. That whole expression implied Q. Okay. So now we just want to go ahead and fill in the table and state yes or no, is this a valid argument? Okay, so how do we fill this in if they're empty for us? Yeah, remember the first one, whatever your first antecedent is, the proposition, always takes the first half of the rows for truths, and then we have false, false. And then after that it will true, false, true, false. There we go. Okay. So not Q, we're just going to negate if a truth is what we have, it'll become false, and vice versa. So false, true, false, true. Now don't say it out loud, okay, because we actually haven't gone over the implication yet. See if you can remember the pattern. Don't say it out loud. Let's give everybody the chance. There was only one scenario where implication was going to be false. And right now we're going to say P implies not Q. Okay. All right, Alejandra, what is it I was just referring to? The true false. That's the only one that's going to be false. There we go. So true, true, false, false, and false, true. Would everybody agree? Is that what everybody got? Okay. Now we want the negation of P. So that's going to be false, false, and true, true. So now I want to take this quantity, the implication, and not P. All right, so I'm going to take this right here. Again, so try to fill out that next column. Think about the behavior for a, what was it again, conjunction or disjunction? That's a conjunction. This is an intersection. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Carolina, what has to happen here for the conjunction? They both have to be true. So let's see. These two last rows, true, true. If only one is true or neither isn't true, then those are going to be false. How are we doing so far? Good? Okay. Now let's go ahead and put in Q. Again, probably just because we're about to do that implication, the very last step. So this would just be true, false, true, false. Okay. So I want to show this implying that. And do we have any true, false scenarios? We do, the very last one. True, false would be false. All the rest of those would be true. Okay, so the question is this a valid argument? No, it's not. Okay. Now, on the surface, I mean, it really seems to make sense. If Julia is sick, she will not go to work. Julia is not sick. So therefore, Julia will go to work. But could there be any other reason besides illness why she wouldn't go to work? Yes. Okay, so, maybe Julia's playing hooky. Maybe she wanted to go to her favorite math class. There you go. I don't know. We don't know Julia. I don't want to judge Julia, so we'll just let it go. Okay. All right, questions. How we doing? Good? Good, good? Okay, well, let me go ahead and pass out your assignments. Oh, I think I have it out over here, actually. Yes, okay. Let's see. Yeah, sure. Hillary just asked if you could listen to music while you do this. That's fine, as long as you're working on the assignment. If you guys want to work together, if you want to work individually, completely up to you. We actually have, what time is it? I got 1:44, so you have a good chunk of class left. You might even, if you're quick enough, be able to get it done before you leave, but then that wouldn't leave you anything for the 3-day weekend, right? Okay.
Only about the argument.
If it's all true, yes. Okay.
I have it.
Oh, you already have yours? Okay. There you go. We'll take a look. Oh, and there were, I meant to do this yesterday and I completely forgot about it. There were some people that I've got your homework assignments. I just need some people to go ahead and grade those for me. Like Michelle, where'd you go? Okay. So Michelle, you have the introduction, as does Hillary. And Sierra, yes. That's the symbols. Okay, and then Sierra right there. Then Carolina. And Kiana. Okay, so I will go ahead and get you folks that key. Yes, sir. In fact, here you go. I would. That way it'll be a lot more quiet for you. I don't think you're going to need a calculator on that. But, please. Here you go. And I'll just give it to you ladies because you're closest. All right. So right now, Sierra and Carolina have the key. Okay.